Chapter 6. First Meeting of Rivals or Allies. Kiro-chan, did we get drawn into the past again? Sakura asked. It seems like we did, Kiro replied.
This is kind of annoying. I wonder how this works, a third voice said. Whee! A ghost! Sakura exclaimed. Geez, it's only me. I wonder how I got drawn in when I'm not even at your house, Syaoran said. He was holding a plate in one hand and a towel in the other. Obviously, he was in the middle of washing dishes. Probably. There is some sort of connection or something. Look! Kiro exclaimed. A young man with midnight blue cloak kneeled before an old man with a staff. The wizened man spoke. Lee Ryuren, you were chosen to go to Japan, being the most powerful mage of your generation in our clan, and the only one to pass the ordeal of sorcery successfully. Take your mission wisely and thoughtfully. You are to find the Five-Force Scroll, which is most probable to be found in Cloudreed's old house in Tomeda District, where he died. The Five-Force Scroll will be the key to find where the Cloud cards are hidden. Once you have found the Cloud, bring it back to Hong Kong for our clan to guard, to prevent destruction. The old man then drew out a long, shimmering sword and placed it flat onto the younger man's shoulder. Take the sword of the Lee clan. It has been handed down for many generations through your great ancestors. Use it well to fight off any foes that may prevent your mission. Remember, accomplish your mission faithfully and hold honor to your name. You are a chosen one. Take that liberty to excel your powers. I'll obey, great uncle, head of the elders. Then the young man stood up and received the glistening blade with 2 hands and slid it into its sheath. He walked out of the room, passing quite close to where they were standing. Since the room was so dark, it was hard to see what his face looked like, yet he seemed only 2 or 4 years older than them, and his eyes were startling midnight blue. For a moment, he seemed to stare at where Sakura, Syaoran, and Kiro were, but then he brushed past them, with his tied back hair swishing past them. This is Hong Kong? Sakura asked. Wait, isn't that the person, the one that bumped into my mother? Syaoran murmured, well, this place looks awfully familiar. Actually, it looks like the house of the elders of my clan back in Hong Kong. And those words the old man said, they sound awfully familiar. Syaoran then remembered the voice. Lee Syaoran, you were the chosen one. Hold your family honor. Follow your mission faithfully. He clenched his eyes. I left all that behind. Sakura rounded her eyes and asked, What's the matter? Nothing. Syaoran groaned. Ugh, where are we now? Well, we're certainly not home, Kiro said. They were standing in front of a great house. Stepping back, Sakura exclaimed, Wait, isn't this Iro's house? It is. Also, it's Cloudreed's old house. Huh? I hear some noises, Kiro said. Is this it, Nare-chan? Senome asked. I think it is. Here, you can go home now. I'll just find the scroll and immediately go back, Gen Nadeshiko said. She was dressed entirely in black and had her hair tightly braided back. I feel like a thief. Are you sure that no one lives in there? Is it the right place? It's so dark and creepy. Shh! Of course it is. I can feel Clausen's power, even though it's been years since he's been here. Here, I'm going in. How? Watch. Deftly, Nadeshiko climbed up the gate, then jumped over the other side. I don't think it would be hard. Then she waved from the other side of the gate. Come on, let's follow, Sakura said, walking through the gate. Somehow, this is very convenient. I never knew that my mother... Wait, she's just Nadeshiko. I never knew that Nadeshiko was such a good burglar. Quickly, Nadeshiko climbed up a tall tree beside the house. When she was in level with the second floor, she jumped from the branch to the windowsill, which was at least several feet away. Sakura clenched her eyes at this, but marvelously, Nadeshiko landed with perfect balance. From there, she waved at Senome, failing to notice a shadow moving towards the house. Examining the locks on the window, Nadeshiko murmured, So it's sealed with magic. Closing her eyes, she forced her chi into the locks. The locks opened. Swinging open the windows, Nadeshiko jumped in. They didn't notice that she fell head over heels when she got inside. Wow, she's a world-class thief, Syaoran said. Thanks a lot. That's my mother, Sakura replied. Nadeshiko ran down the dark corridors, never faltering a moment. The aura of the 5-4 scroll was clear, and she headed to the room where it was hidden. Sakura, Syaoran, and Kiro followed as well as they could. Had they been in their real forms, they would have knocked over half the things in the house. Finally, Nadeshiko stopped, and she came to a door. Hesitantly, she opened it and stepped inside. It was Cloud Reed's great sitting room. The 5-4 scroll was laid on a table, ready for anyone to take. Smooth as a cat, she walked in to where it was. At the same time, another black figure moved from the window. Nadeshiko grabbed the scroll in unison with the mysterious person. She gasped, but didn't let go of the scroll. For a moment, they both tugged at the scroll. Finally, the other person spoke. His voice was smooth and menacing and also icy. Let go of the scroll and give it to me. Nadeshiko replied, No, you give it to me. It's mine. Who are you anyway, thief? Who are you calling a thief? You sneaked in, same as me. Give it. Do you even know what this is? It's rightfully my family's. Hand it over before I take it by force. I can't give it to you. I was summoned by Cloud Reed to find the 5-4 scroll and use it to search for the hidden cloud. There was a moment of surprise in the young man's face. Cloud Reed? His grip on the scroll loosened, and Nadeshiko took the brief moment to take it away. Hey, give it! How come you know about all this? Who are you anyway? The mysterious person tried to take it back, but Nadeshiko dodged. Cloud Reed chose me to be the mortal guardian of the 5-4 scroll. I don't ignore when such people tell me to do something. So let me be. You? You're only a kid, a little girl. What powers can you have? You're weak. Well, I don't think you're much older than me anyway. Probably 2 or 3 years older at most, and I'm stronger than you think I am. I have the greatest second sight in the neighborhood, probably in all of Japan. With my 6th sense, I bet I can even find out who you are. I don't care. I need the 5-4 scroll because I need to find the Cloud card book and take it back to my family in Hong Kong. You live in Hong Kong? That's none of your business. Now give it. He lunged forward at Nadeshiko, who dodged back, but he managed to grab a hold of her long braided hair. Pulling her hair back till her head was tilted back, he said with the clenched teeth, Now give it before you regret it. She squirmed, but he was taller, stronger one, and she couldn't move. Ow, let me go, you're hurting me! Desperately, she kicked his shin, and then turned several flips and landed outside of the room. You! In anger, the boy ran after her. Nadeshiko ran quickly through the corridors, without bumping into anything, since her second sight let her sense where everything was. He chased after her with equal agility. Finally, Nadeshiko came upon a dead end with nowhere to turn. She turned around, finding no escape. Grabbing her, he doubled her arms back behind her. Nadeshiko buckled over, wincing in pain, but refused to give up the scroll. Cowering back to the wall, she waited for him to strike. They froze in that position. After a moment, she opened her clenched eyes and stared back into his. To her surprise, she found that they were startling blue, though it was hard to see his other features in the dark. His trembling arm was raised above her head, and he was ready to hit her. They were both gasping for breath, while there was silence. With frightened yet cool emerald eyes, Nadeshiko asked, You don't plan on striking a girl, do you? That would be the act of a coward. I'll do anything to get that scroll. And since you are an obstacle, I'll be violent if I can get it. Why are you so desperate for it? I need it too. Too bad. I will have it my way. Even if you get hurt, it's not my fault. You've been warned. Making a move for it, he clenched both of her arms with one hand and made a rough grab. With both of them pulling, the scroll made a rip sound and ripped into two. They both gazed in horror at what happened. Now look what you've done, he exclaimed fiercely. Who was the one that twisted my arms and grabbed for it? Nadeshiko retorted. In anger, he raised his arms in the air. She gazed back defiantly, and he swung down his palm, slapping her face. For a moment, Nadeshko looked shocked and fingered the stinging palm mark on the side of her face. Long wisp of hair escaped from the braid dangled down. Then she stood up obstinately and slapped him right back, shouting, "Do you think you'll get away with hitting me when no one has ever struck me in my life? Do you think that I'm that weak and that I'll burst out crying like any girl would? Well, you're mistaken. I'm different. I won't give up, now or ever. You won't beat me that easily." He fingered his cheek with an almost amused look, then muttered, "Idiot." They both glared at each other, sparkling sapphire eyes against emerald, with half the scroll in each of their hands. For what seemed like hours, they breathed heavily, facing each other in the dark, hardly able to see each other except for the sparkling anger in their eyes. A glowing light formed in the middle. A white spherical form appeared. Then suddenly out popped a little animal. It looked something like a mixture between Kiro-chan and Mokana. It looked like a white form of Kiro-chan and Soupy, with large rabbit ears, yawning. It gazed around. Everyone sweat dropped. "What's that?" Nadeshko stammered. "I'm Moonstone, immortal guardian of the 5-Force Scroll. I was supposed to be the advisor for the chosen mortal guardian." The white bunny thing faded off. Nadeshko and the young man had resumed their animus glares. They made a grab for the other half of the scroll, while she ducked under his legs. In Chinese martial arts stance, he was ready to attack. Nadeshko eyed him warily. They both went for each other, and in a clamor, he managed to get a hold of her leg while she was pulling his long-tied back hair. "Stop!" Moonstone gave a flare of light. "You two have ripped the 5-Force Scroll. Is that correct?" The two guilty ones hung their heads in shame, sweat dropping. "I, Moonstone, was created by Clow Reed on his deathbed. Though I am not as powerful as Kiraberis or Yue," at this, Kiro-chan looked smug, "I still have a certain extent of power and will assist you to find the Clow." "So," the young man asked, "who's going to own the scroll?" "Put the halves of the scroll together and read the first line." Grudgingly, Nadeshko and the young man unrolled the scroll and put the ripped piece together. They both gawked. "There's nothing written on it." "Well, that's to be expected. It's written in the ancient mage's language and will only appear when the time comes. Anyway, you wouldn't be able to read it. So, I will give it to some special power. Now, look again." The first line should have appeared. At this, Moonstone blew some glittering powder onto the two. Together, they read the first line. "The 5-Force Scroll. This scroll is the key to finding the long-lost Cloud Card book, so that mortal guardians may keep it safe till the new card mistress arises. 2 chosen people must join and fight together against the dark forces who will hinder their way." 2? Moonstone said. "Get it? 2. And since you two are fighting over the scroll and seem to have carelessly ripped it, you can each keep a half of it and work together." They both had a horrified expression. The mysterious young man shouted, "Her? No way! Just give it to me. I'll manage it. I wouldn't believe she is a chosen one for my life. I want the scroll, and I will get it no matter what. Now give it." "What?" Nadeshko exclaimed. She was about to hit him, but he seized her right arm and twisted it again. Nadeshko held back a scream. "Ah! Let go, you moron! Baka!" She twisted, but he twisted it harder till she thought her arm was going to break. "You girl, you better give the scroll to me now before you regret it. I'm dead serious. I will break your arm and hurt you if I have my mind made up. Now give it." "No, I won't. I will follow my instructions, not what some mean stranger commands me to do. Go ahead, break my arm. See if I care or if it'll stop me. Nadesico clenched her eyes as his steel-like fingers tightened around her narrow wrist and twisted till her bones started to get strained. She dropped the scroll. Why are you so desperate for it? Why do you have to do this? Her voice faded off as his iron grip had wrenched her arms till they would go no further. Stop! Stop it now! Moonstone screamed. Though it was like another stuffed doll, his words were powerful. Take half the scroll each and be content with it. That's enough for today. Just go back home and resolve this next time. Await for the next instruction on the scroll. There will be an indication when that will happen. For now, I will say bye till the next time. And you, he turned to Nadesico, who was shaking, yet not saying a word. Moonstone continued, you are brave. Shame on that Lee kid. He glared at the unidentified boy. For hurting a girl. You have things hard for you, Nadesico-san. Hey! He shouted back in response. Yet the stuffed bunny-like creature had materialized and disappeared. Then he clenched his half of the scroll and started to open the window. Before he jumped out, he turned back to Nadesico and said coldly, You, thief girl, you will regret the day you met me. You will regret ever so much that you didn't give me the scroll. I'll have things my way. He jumped out the window, his tied hair trailing behind him. Nadesico leaned against the window pane, staring at the disappearing young man, and then shouted, Why? Not expecting an answer. Who are you? And why is all this happening to me? Why did Cloudreed choose me to undertake this role when that person is so determined to take over? Oh, I just want to give up. Yet, I don't have my powers for no reason. There are times when I know that I must obey. She supported her sprained arm with one hand and crouched over. A bruise was starting to form on the side of her face, where the mysterious boy had struck her. Yet, she did not cry, while she stared at the other half of the 5-4 scroll. What is going to happen from now on? Wow, that's a very dramatic story, Tomeo said. I wish I was there. It was the next day at school during lunch break. Sakura had just finished explaining to her what happened the previous day and all the things that she learned about her mother. You should have seen the flashing in her eyes. It was positively fiery. I wonder how the 5-4 scroll made us see the vision of the past, Sakura said. Probably a spell woven into the scroll. Maybe there's significant information from the past, Syaoran said as he came up from behind them. But I wonder how come I never heard about it before, Kiro pondered. Kiro-chan, I told you to stay in my bag. I wondered who that mysterious man is. Was he handsome? Tomeo asked. Well, it was kind of hard to see anything except for his blue eyes. Anyway, he was very mean, I think. But my mother also surprised me. I guess I'd never seen her as a girl, that's why. Wow, her and that mysterious boy. Kiro said, Well, at least the Chinese brat didn't break your arms, Sakura, when he first met you and tried to take the cloud cards away from you. Tomeo added, But he probably would have if Sakura-chan's brother didn't come along. Syaoran stammered as he recalled the scene where he was trying to take away the cloud cards by force. Anyway, you certainly never slapped Sakura-chan. I wouldn't have ever forgiven you if you had slapped my friend, Tomeo added. Nor would I, Kiro said. But all I can say is that Nadesico and that strange boy was like Spitfire from the beginning. I think that mysterious young man is the one we see every time, while we are drawn to the past. So, the person that she bumped into, and the person that received the orders from an elder, and the one who fought with my mother, no, Nadesico, were all the same person? Yeah, that must be so. They both had the prettiest blue eyes, but then the eyes were very cold and forbidding, Sakura commented. I wonder what 5 Force is. There is the 5-4 scroll, the language of the 5 Force magicians. Oh, it's all so confusing. Sakura's head went round and round. Syaoran stared at the grass. Well, I'm not very sure, but I have heard in my lessons about it. There were 5 great magicians in the generation before Clowreed, who were the greatest in the world. Each of them had mastered in each of the 5 principles of magic. But back then, magic was divided into 5 basic categories. First was the power of heavenly bodies. This was borrowing power from the sun, moon, stars, and celestial events. Second was the elemental power, the force drawn from the earthly aura. Power was drawn from wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, the 5 elements theory. Third was the 6th sense, or sometimes called the second sight. This was the gift of seeing unearthly spirits, telecommunication, fortune-telling with dreams, and the magic with one's will and mind power control.
That's like my mother.
Yes. And next was contract magic. That was the power drawn from complex spells like magic circles, scrolls, incantation, ward papers, etc. And last was...
Sakura interrupted. I guess then the last power was the power of darkness.
Yes, it was the power of dark and light. By itself, it was fine. But with this power, if a corrupt, greedy person used the black arts, it often led to disaster.
The generation before Clowreed, there were 5 great magicians, the greatest of the world. Each of them represented each of the 5 powers, Kiro added. Then Clowreed came along, son of Lee-sama and Reed-sama, 2 of the 5 magicians. He then became the greatest magician of the world by blending the powers of East and West in all of the 5 powers. He uses power of the sun, darkness, as well as the 5 elements. He also uses magic circles, staffs, incantations, as well as being able to see the future.
Hoi! Sakura looked aghast at all the history and turned spiral-eyed. Oh, it's very confusing. I second that, Syaoran said. Things will clear up and get less confusing, Kiro said. It sure will, mooted Erika. Aaron fingered a bracelet on his left wrist, identical to the one Erika wore. Someday, when it's too late for them, we won't lose this time, she replied. Yes, there was a time when we were the most powerful. And we will be most powerful once more.